All right, this is take 2. The screen recording didn't work the first time, but we're going to keep learning together. So keep an eye out on the Google Classroom for daily mini quizzes. Those are going to be your attendance. And for answer keys, videos, things I'll post every single day in order to keep you updated. So make sure you're washing your hands, staying safe, and we'll see you after break. But let's talk about Chris's reflecting pool. Still working on that Soccer Hall of Fame reflecting pool, and he's considering moving those lights somewhere else, not just in the middle, not just in the edge like we saw last week, but there's still going to be 60-degree angles coming out of these lights. So that's still 60, this is still 60, and these central angles, like we see down here, these central angles are still going to be the same as the arcs they intercept. So that's got to be 60, and this arc's got to be 60. So if 1 and 2 are both 60 degrees, arc AC is going to be 60, arc BD is going to be 60. Now, we've got, again, vertical angles. So our two angles here are vertical, they form those V's. And since they're in the center of the circle, we know they are central angles. So let's look at our two arc measures, AC and BD. If we add up our 60 plus 60, we get 120, and that's always going to be true no matter where we put those into our circle, any point in the circle. So two central angles add up also to 120. And what we can do is, since each one is 60, that's not a good color. Since each one is 60, that's half of 120. And that'll be true no matter where these angles are in our circle. So say still 60, still looking at the same lights, 60 and 60. And that means our sum still has to be 120. So let's say this arc AC, let's say that arc is 42 degrees. I need to find that number here for arc BD that's going to add to 120. So I can take 120 minus 42 to get 78. And we can look at, 78 plus 42 is going to get me 120, and half of that would be 60. So each of these angles is just half. So there's our theorem that measure of the vertical angles is just half of the sum of those two arcs. And you know what? I moved a bit too fast there. All right, so moving on to that next theorem, vertical angles, still half. Now let's take our example here. We've got half of 133 plus 67, or half of 200 is going to be either one of these angles. So each one of these angles has to be exactly 100 degrees. So we added up 133 plus 67 got me 200. Divide by 2 to get 100. And let's try the next two. You can pause this at any time. Try the next problem and unpause to see how you did. So again, we'll take our two arcs, 204, that major arc should really have another letter there. So arc UYV 204 plus the other arc is 50 is 250, 4. And then each one of these central angles, or not central angles, each one of these vertical angles should be half of that. So 254 divided by 2 gets me 127. So each angle is 127. Right, let me change colors here. So we're looking at these vertical angles that intercept my arcs. All right, now 50 plus 52 gets me 102. And since I've got two angles that make up 102, we can take 102, divide that evenly between my two vertical angles, and get 51 for each. Now again, you can always pause these videos, try the next two problems, and watch the next minute or so to check your work. So let's look at number 3. Most important thing we can do here is identify our vertical angles that are intercepting these arcs. Here those are. And we can take those arcs 50 plus 210 to get 260. 260 divided evenly between my two angles gets me 130 degrees. And our last problem of this type, 50 plus 198, 248. 248 divided by 2 gets me 124, but which angles are those? It would have to be this angle intercepting 198, and this angle is intercepting 50. So let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. This is 124. Maybe I want to find this adjacent angle. So they form a straight line. Then what should they add to? So I can take 180 minus 124 to get 56 for a linear pair. If that were something you were being asked. All right, let's look at our last two here. Now, same thing. 1/2 of my sum of the arcs. I'm adding up those arcs. But I don't know this arc. So I can leave that as x plus 197 equals that angle inside, the angle formed by those two chords. Or here, x, don't know that arc, plus 142 gets me 103. So x plus 142 gets me 103. And now, why don't you pause this and solve from there? No, I'm sorry, 103. And you can think of this as x plus 197 divided by 2 equals 125. How do I get rid of dividing by 2? I can multiply both sides by 2. X plus 197 equals 250. Subtract that 197. X must be 40. No. X must be 53. Or here we've got, x plus 142, half of it is 103. We can get rid of that by multiplying by 2 on both sides. X plus 1, 42 is 206. So x must be 64. All right, please email me again with any questions you might have, and keep an eye out on the Google Classroom page for more of these videos.